Welcome back again to the Ted Lasso After Show. This is Sean. Oop. Welcome back once again to the Ted Lasso After Show. This is Sean.
And this is Chris.
Hey, there you are.
Dramatic entrance.
Yeah, not only did you go like a minute early, but then you were gone once the opening thing. I was like,
As soon as
okay.
I hit go, I had issues. I was like, man, here we go again. Not another week of issues. It's getting old fast.
Anyway, this is the Ted Lasso After Show. Today we are talking about season 3, the final season of Ted Lasso, episode 5, titled Sign or Signs. I think just Sign.
I think it's just sign. I think he's referring just to that, believe sign that's been above his door since basically day one.
That and the Rebecca psychic stuff.
Yeah.
That was seeing some signs around you, that kind of thing.
Getting some signs there. Well, guys, you know what? We talk about Ted Lasso here typically Wednesday, sometimes scheduling issues happening. We kind of go on Thursday like today. But we love your interaction. Anything that you guys have that you can add to the conversation, we love it. If you're watching live, if you're watching recorded, regardless, we'll respond to you. But like I said, if you're new to us, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and make sure you join the Dad and Rock family here.
We will begin with let's talk. Do you want to talk about just kind of the bulk of the team and some of the Zava stuff that happened this episode? Yeah, let's just touch on that a little bit. So the guys are down and out. They're on a losing streak, which of course we knew going into this week, right?
Yeah,
because of the thumbnails.
Yeah, thumbnail spoils a lot.
Yeah, but so they have Zava. Zava's like definitely disappointed. You can see it on his face after a loss. And I when that happened, kind of the upfront part of the episode, I was looking at Zava and I was thinking, like, is he gonna try to go to another team, or you know what I mean? Because he just. But then, like afterwards in the locker room, like he was very supportive. Like just kind of kind and like not as I expected,
Yeah. Well, he would be like back Jamie. Like Jamie said something, and then he came right in behind Jamie and said essentially the same thing, which irritated the hell out of Jamie. It's like, hold on,
yeah,
I'm saying the same thing, but you guys are reacting differently because it's coming out of Zava's mouth.
Yeah, it was one of those things where I didn't expect kind of where they went with it, though. Griffin says hello. Good evening from Oakland, California. There we go. Oakland in the house.
Hey, welcome.
What else? Yeah. So I guess the big thing with the team itself is that Zava's gone. Zava retires.
and he didn't blow the team up. He came in, they were winning.
Yeah.
And then
they were losing.
They couldn't win. Well, I mean, I guess you can look at it 2 ways. Did he blow the team up by him being there and being that focal point, and then they lost who they were?
Mm-hmm.
And then they started losing all the games, and now he's gone. They're going to revert back to who they were when they got promoted.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. Sure. The only thing that we keep talking about subverting expectation, and you think where certain plot lines are going to unfold and what's going to develop week to week and throughout the season. My assumption was, and I think you too, is that like Jamie was really going to overcome Zava, the whole Zava thing, and there was going to be this rivalry between the two. I mean, with Zava gone, that storyline's kind of over, and Jamie's.
I don't think so.
No,
I think you're overlooking the fact that with Jamie, the storyline with Jamie was Zava showing up. It proved to him that he can't just sit back and rely on talent. He has to continue to work at it. Yeah. And they actually even led into that at the end of the show when the whole conversation took place. And he asked Roy, 4 a.m.? And Roy's like, yep, on a day off.
Yeah, that's a fair point. And Griffin says as much. He said he lit a fire under Jamie to get better.
Yep.
Griffin, I assumed your gender. I apologize. I shouldn't be doing that. Griffin, you could be anything. You could be an actual Griffin for all I know. Griffin also says he united Roy and Jamie. So that's definitely a fair point. I guess where I'm coming from with that is that it seemed like Jamie was going to have more of a direct conflict with Zava, when really Zava just kind of came in and, like you said, kind of caused this change within Jamie just from him being there. But really, there wasn't any kind of direct conflict between the two guys.
Yeah, and I think that's good. I don't want that conflict. I don't need that
Yeah.
conflict. You know what I mean? So I'm glad that he came. I'm glad that Rebecca got him over Rupert,
Yeah.
and I'm glad that he now left without really any fuss. I mean, granted, he abandoned them during the Man U game, so it was a big
Right.
game for him just to leave.
Yeah, that's true.
But on the flip side, it's probably a good thing.
Yeah. It's kind of one of those things where it's I'm kind of glad about it too, because it's like we don't. I feel like towards if we're running towards the end of the season now, we really need to focus on the team that's left.
Yeah, the characters that we know, we need to know more of, not a new character that they went and put into just for this season.
Yeah, and the Zava stuff was a way to kind of like give them some wins, give them some losses, kind of like keep them almost uneven ground, even though they're in ninth position or whatever. They're
It's still
still
not I mean, they're about mid-table when it comes to the Premier League.
okay.
Yeah, so
Yeah, so
they're not in any danger of being relegated,
yeah.
but they're not in that top 4 where you wanna be within the Premier League to try to win it.
And story-wise, that makes sense because you don't want to be too far out to where it would be just completely mathematically unbelievable for them to come back. But you also want them to be kind of down and out and have to work towards the win at the end, you know?
Yeah, yeah, I don't wanna just
Um,
be given to them. I don't want them to go on a run and they run away with it. There's no drama to that. There's no story to that. I
yeah.
almost want to. I would like it to end with a penalty kick, and the last game. Maybe it's Sam who sends them to the championship.
Yeah.
To hoist the trophy, the silverware. That would be fun.
Yeah. It'll be good to see Jamie get some glory now, and I'm glad that we're on that road. It's if anything, maybe it's a little early, because it seems like what else can we see from Jamie's story arc besides him, I guess, coming fully into his own? And do you think he replaces I forget his name, the actual
McAdoo,
yeah? Do you think he replaces
Isaac. Yeah.
McAdoo as team captain?
No,
No.
I think Isaac is the captain. He is. If anyone was going to replace him as captain, it would be Sam. I
Oh,
don't.
okay.
And knowing the soccer world, you don't want your striker to be the captain. You need them to have a mentality of selfishness.
Yeah.
You don't want them focusing on everybody. So if you have a McAdoo or you have a Sam Obasanya, focusing on the team and let Jamie be Jamie, that's what they need to do.
Right. That's totally fair. So Griffin says a distraction for a purpose. I think in relation to Zava, I think,
Yeah.
which is I think that's a good descriptive way of dealing with Zava's impact this season. A distraction with a purpose.
Yeah, Griffin goes on as well saying here, the Keelie and Jack situation. That
Yeah.
was, I mean, well, I think we're gonna get to that. I I,
Right.
I would say if I'm gonna nitpick real quick on the episode.
Sure. Okay.
My biggest nitpick of the episode is everything was you've seen it coming. There was no mystery. Every single beat of this episode, there was no mystery to it. You've seen what happened at the diner with Nate. You've seen what happened with Jack. The only thing that's still a mystery is what happened with Rebecca, which I like. There's a mystery to that.
I do too. Yeah, you could play that either way as far as her conversation and her voicemail and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even
Um.
the Shandy thing, everything you've seen coming. So, I mean,
Yeah.
my only negative thing about the episode. But like I said, it's still Ted Lasso. You still
Yeah.
smile.
Yeah. It's still good. It's still fun to watch. Okay, so that as far as the team goes, we left them in a good place. After Zava left, there was a kind of a discourse. The team was kind of freaking out a little bit. But what we got, and I think you got a clip of this, is Ted coming back and being coach again, having some inspirational words
Yes.
for the team.
And
Thankfully,
this all takes place after the loss. They come in and he's giving them a pep talk. I mean, they're not going to have practice on Monday. And he
right?
says something, and the sign tears behind him again. And the team flips out.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, there's even a point where Ted grabs it, walks forward, and tears it again. And I called this. I even told you, before we even started. There's a smile on Sam's face. It's
Yeah,
almost like he's seeing Ted return to them. It's like, this is the Ted we love playing for. This is Ted from last season. This is Ted from season 1. We
Right.
need this guy back. We need the passion back. We need all of that. And he goes into a long, passionate, locker room talk before they're done for that day. And I mean, this is the clip that we're talking about here.
Yep.
I don't want to mess around with that shit anymore. You know what I mean? Do you?
No, coach.
No. Do you?
No.
No, me neither. Hell no. Now, you know what I want to mess around with? The belief that I matter. You know? Regardless of what I do or don't achieve. Or the belief that we all deserve to be loved. Whether we've been hurt or maybe we've hurt somebody else.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, that's the Ted I want. That's the Ted we deserve.
Yeah, you may want to back out and come back in. But yeah, I'll talk a little bit about Ted and what led up to that. Griffin mentions this right here. Unpredictable wise, we mentioned how some things were predictable throughout the episode, but Griffin mentions unpredictable was Henry as a bully. That did throw me off. I was like, oh, I assumed just like everybody that
he was the one being bullied, not he was being the bully himself.
Yeah. But, and this is what kind of leads into the clip that we just watched right before Ted comes out there. He talks to Henry over the phone, and it turns out that Ted's talking to Henry as far as like correcting his behavior or whatever. It's too late. Henry's already taken care of it.
He already did what Ted would have told him to do.
Right. And he did it in a way that sounds like a little Ted Lasso as far as doing like a hip hop apology and
in front of the
going
class
in and being sincere and just the kind of way that Ted would have handled it himself. So with that, after Ted hangs up, he starts to have his little anxiety attack thing, but he's able to center himself and sort of put a stop to it himself by just as like a mantra, like he's okay. He's okay.
Yeah.
Not only is he okay in this particular situation, but I think it's dawning on Ted that he's going to be okay going forward.
Well, that's, I think, a big part of that locker room speech. I can't recollect hearing Ted curse before. This was the first time I think I remember hearing him curse.
Oh, yeah, you're right. He did.
Yeah. At the very beginning of that, that clip there, I don't want to deal with this shit anymore. Do you?
Right.
So that's the first time I remember him saying anything like that. And I think he was talking to himself as much as he was talking to everybody in that room.
Yeah.
Because he's, talking about how you got to trust in yourself. You got to get rid of all the stuff that's flowing through you. I don't want to deal with this anymore. Do you want to deal? Things that you would be saying in the mirror, to help yourself get through a situation.
Yeah.
He was using the situation. He was using the team in the locker room as Dr. Sharon. He was talking to himself along with everybody else.
That's a very fair point. We got from Ted what I was hoping to see come pretty soon from Ted, because I mentioned on previous episodes that he's been fairly absent when it came to being, manager of this team.
Yeah, no, he hasn't been there really at all.
He's been very distracted with the things around him, and he seemed, like I said, he seemed a bit more centered after, but the beginning of the episode, it really kind of, he was in a tailspin because the team has been losing.
Rebecca comes and yells at him.
Yeah, in a way that's just like kind of jarring because you never really see that with those two, and even Ted's kind of taken aback. And he's scrambling. He's like, well, we could try this, and he's at a point where his back's kind of to the wall, and I think
even Higgins was like, should we change managers?
Right. Yeah.
So even he's putting that into the universe that we may need to move on from Ted.
Yeah, and you can feel that. I don't know if you've ever worked a job or whatever where you feel like maybe your head is on the chopping block and there's probably some discussions in other back rooms about your performance or continuing with you. So I'm sure Ted could feel those vibes. Like you said, Ted's a little psychic, right? So that whole scene was funny too, where afterwards where Rebecca and Ted met each other in the hallway and they kind of bumped into each other and they had the little thing where he mentioned being psychic and she mentioned, sorry, I bullied you or whatever. And they were both like kind of taken aback by.
Hold on.
Yeah. just the randomness of the words that happened to be chosen. It was funny. It was like, more signs, right?
Yeah, that was the whole episode was just full of signs.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on from the team himself. Let's go to who was another a big. You want to do Nate maybe?
Yeah, let's talk about Nate.
So I mean, once again, that same woman, I don't remember her name. It was I guess some higher up like model, supermodel that
yeah.
Rupert basically tried to set him up with. Decided, hey, let's go on a date. He said, you didn't call me.
Right, exactly.
So he calls his mother, and he psychs himself up on what he's going to say to her. And they go to that restaurant that he loves going to.
That was another endearing moment for him that felt like old Nate, the Nate that we first met, because he doesn't have a great relationship with his dad, but it seems like he does with his mother.
Yeah.
And he's able to call her and ask her for legitimate advice, and that's pretty smart. For you folks that are in the dating pool or whatever, if you want to check in with your mom and see what appropriate way to talk to a lady, maybe ask your mom. She knows. She would know. But it's just funny how to play it out too, because he picked up the phone and he started talking as though he was talking to
it got me at first.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay,
right.
He got that going on.
And you're right, as far as how that eventually played out, as soon as they entered the restaurant, you could tell, like, well, she's not going to be impressed by this place.
Yeah, when they sat down, they were having dinner. She couldn't take pictures of it for Instagram because it looked disgusting.
Right. Yeah.
And he was trying to sell it. And eventually, when she got on her phone, when she wanted to leave, he was like, no, we're not going anywhere. He was like, then bye.
And the waitress's name, or the one that actually works at the bar, I should know her name by. She's been in enough episodes where I should know her name. But did you call her actually being like opening up towards him at the end?
I don't think so. No.
No, you didn't see that coming?
No, I didn't see that. Well, I mean, I didn't, but my wife did. She's seen that beat happening throughout the show.
Yeah.
So I mean, because I didn't think she had anything to do with him. Period. End of story. I thought she just wasn't interested at all.
Yeah. My only
Jade,
thing,
that's her name.
Jade, that's right. My only thing with the whole Jade storyline is that I'm a little confused as to what Jade actually wants from Nate, because at first it seems like Nate was kind of himself when Nate was kind of himself when he first approached Jade back when he was still with Richmond. I mean, this was last season and episodes ago.
Oh yeah, this was the whole spitting incident happened with her there.
And even previously, when he first started talking to her, he was bumbling, fumbling his kind of the other Nate that we knew, but she didn't seem to be into that at all. And then so he took that as like, well, I really need to be more confident or whatever. There was even that episode where he had that conversation with Rebecca and Keelie about confidence and stuff. So then, but that was just kind of spoiled because Nate took it way too far and was just kind of a jerk, right?
Yeah.
And then that it came full circle again. But now, finally, after seeing him as like a bumbler in the beginning and then a jerk, the next couple interactions, now he just says something about how he likes the food there. It's divine. And all of a sudden she's kind of like smitten and willing to sit down. It just, I don't know. It was like, I don't know.
I think she was always kind of like, I think she played it stoic.
Yeah.
It was just one of those type situations. Yeah. And like Griffin's saying, Nate is absolutely maturing. We're seeing it along the way here. But
yeah, Jade,
I think the way that she was just so stoic, period, across the board. I think it's why, coming from my wife, a female, it's like, okay, I see this.
Yeah.
Me as a dude, I'm sitting back like, there's no way. And then when she walked over to the table with the baklava, because it's divine, and they sat down, and you see them, finally talking and eating, and Nate smiling. We haven't seen like a genuine Nate
Nate smile, yeah,
in a while. So it was nice actually to see that. So which I don't know where they're going with his character. I don't know if there's going to be a humbling. I don't know if it's going to come from, Rupert. I don't know if he's going to leave the team. I don't know anymore.
I think now the journey for Nate is going to be not to have this fake confidence where you spit into a mirror and whatever that does for him. I think it's going to be having to draw a line in the sand and standing up against Rupert. Like Rupert's just going to push him too far, and he's going to be like, no.
That's going to go bad. That's going to be bad quick.
Yeah, it's going to go bad. But I mean, at the end of the day, that kind of falls in line where we think Nate's going. If he doesn't necessarily go back to Richmond, he's at least not going to continue to be this jerk
Whipping
of a
boy. Yeah.
manager. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of, yeah, just yeah, whipping boy is probably the wrong way to put it because he's the one that's being pushed into being, not himself essentially.
Right. There's they've done a lot of work as far as laying the groundwork for why Nate is the way he is right now. And I in the past I've kind of said whether or not it's believable or if the transition there and the transition back was a little too jarring. But as far as a 3-season arc, I think maybe I think by the end of this thing I will accept it because it's like season 1 was getting to know the character
Yeah.
and who he is and the likable aspect of Nate. And then season 2 is all about kind of the downfall. It was almost like the Empire Strikes Back of Nate, right?
Yeah.
And then we'll see the return of the Jedi. We'll see the return of Nate here coming up.
I'm
season
smiling
3.
because Madeline's joining us again here. So I definitely knew this was going to happen. Another woman that's seen
There
it
you
coming,
go.
and me being a blind dude,
Right.
not having any. I would have been Nate walking in and having no idea, knowing she was interested in me at all.
Yeah. Griffin says, for me, a female. Oh, thanks. Thanks for the clarification. Not necessary. I brought it up, Griffin. I apologize. Ted Lasso's amazing look into men's hearts. Oh, that's a fair point. That's good.
Yeah,
See, you're getting some perspective from the other side then.
Yeah, so you're getting a lot of different types of guys. You're getting the Lasso. You're getting Nate. You're getting Beard. You're getting Jamie and Roy. There's a lot of and they're not just surface characters. You're getting character growth within all of them. So that's
This is the good version of locker room talk. Yeah, the Ted Lasso locker room talk is this is the kind. Believe me, this is the one you want to go with, not the other type.
I would say avoid some of those locker rooms.
Yeah,
I've been in a
avoid
few
some
of
the
them.
other stuff. So I guess as far as just let's see here, who were we on? Oh, the Jade stuff. Just to wrap that up, I guess I didn't really see it coming, and I think you make a point as far as just like Jade was almost like a blank slate. As far as like you could kind of like kind of assume a bunch of different things giving in her reaction. Because she was always just like kind of stared at him and
she was never impressed. She knew he coached 2 different teams. She didn't care at all. She told him to leave one of them if he's working too hard. It was like he could be a painter on the corner making that, and I think she would have still been interested.
Right, yeah. So I did like by the end of this, during that little montage, we see them together, and like you said, Nate's smiling. She seems to be smiling, and finally, like legitimately, like warming up to him and stuff, and splitting some baklava. That's great. That's a good thing for Nate. And, a huge bowl of it.
Oh no!
But
we just got a Paul's Sean. Yeah, well, it's a good thing for Nate. It's fun, for Nate to go on and do his thing and actually growing. We don't know how we're going to go ahead and go. If he's going to go ahead and actually, return to us. Are we going to return to great Nate? Are we going to return to, what it was prior when Nate? We are having some bumbling issues. I don't know if it's me, you, or the internet, or
it's
anything.
You.
Because now
I'm
my
still
camera
here.
is going nuts.
I never left. So pop back out and pop back in.
What the Sam? Oh, I'm getting tired of this.
We'll have Chris momentarily back with us. But yeah, so that's kind of the end of Nate's journey this particular episode. Let's move on. I want to talk about Rebecca for a little bit because she kind of had a major episode here too. It's all right, you're back. I'm moving on to Rebecca's storyline. I think we talked Nate through.
Rebecca's storyline is the storyline I think that made the most progress. I don't think any other storyline truly made any progress besides Rebecca's.
And we still leave it at an interesting point because us as the viewer, we're not sure what the answer was.
We have female viewers with us today.
Yeah.
I want to know what their opinion is on it because me and my wife sitting in the room read that final scene with her in the car with that matchbook completely different after she got that phone call.
Well, I had thought, and we'll give a few minutes for them to respond to the comments. But I had thought personally, when she got the call, she was talking to the doctor. She said something as the doctor's talking. She said, "Oh, that's what I thought." And when I heard that and Rebecca say that, I was like, "Oh no!" Like Rebecca had thought that she would not be able to have kids at her age. I think that was her assumption.
That's exactly how I read it.
Right. But then again, later when she's riding in the car. And she seems to have like more of a hopeful wistful look on her face, like maybe it was positive. Like she seems to be more positive. If it was bad news, she's taking it well.
Maybe she's at peace.
It could be. Yeah, that could be too.
That's it. Maybe she's realizing if she's going to be a mother, it's going to be another avenue rather than the natural way. So that's kind of how I read that.
Griffin says, so far the psychic has been spot on. We did see 2 other instances in this, finally with the shining knighting armor and the green matchbook, and she had it out. That's a fair point. And she did say, hey, you're going to be a mother. But like we said, we don't know exactly how that plays out.
There's so many ways to become a mother now.
Yeah.
I don't know, because they're not giving us anything to lead on that there's any type of relationship. The same relationship is gone. The guy that she broke up with, that they ran into, so the lady can say, that whole interaction was just for shite in knighting armor. That's all the interaction was for.
Yeah. I half expected her to end up in bed. I thought we were going to have a jump cut where she's in bed with Sam this episode. I thought she was going to get the news that she could have a kid, and then we were like, she's going to like have one with one of her footballers. I don't know. Or like, sometimes there's a leap as far as like maybe a missing scene where you could just like put 2 and 2 together. Like, oh, well, after that, she must have called Sam up finally. Because throughout the season, we've seen her kind of like ask about Sam, kind of check in with Sam. Like there's still feelings there, that she's kind of putting on the back burner, kind of leaving alone. But we didn't get that, but we'll see.
Yeah, Griffin's asking, does she adopt Bex? Bex, is that Sassy's daughter?
Oh, Sassy's daughter. Yeah. I forget. Is that? Yeah, it might be Bex. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure. That's what Sean put out in the universe. That something's tragically happens to Sassy.
Right.
And like I said last time, I am not for it. Oh, she says no. It's not. I think the doctor told her the levels. Oh. I'm just going to bring us up here. I think the doctor told her the levels are too low and she can't have kids. The psychic said should be a mother. Yeah. Okay.
She did say, right. So that's the way to get out of that. And I'm wondering if she did receive negative news, if that look of like happiness in the car is like her making the determination, the decision, like maybe I'll adopt or whatever. What? Okay. I saw you have a reaction. What'd you say?
I read Griffin's response. It's Rupert's wife. Bex is Rupert's wife.
Oh, like something bad will happen to Bex?
Or something bad happens to the 2 of them. Say they're in a car or something happens.
Yeah.
And she winds up adopting their child.
Oh boy. That'd be something.
That'd be tragic. And it would be growth from Rebecca. Think about it.
Yeah.
Would she, if we went back to the beginning of last season and she found out something happened to Rupert and his now wife, would she have the ability to put all that aside and adopt their child? I would say no. Now I would say yes.
Right. That's I'll tell you what. If we're gonna have tragedy, I guess I'd rather have it befall Rupert than I would Sassy.
Yes. No Sassy tragedy. No, I'm just, like I said before, I'm not here for it.
I also don't want to see anything bad happen to Bex because I kind of like her, and it's like not her fault that Rupert's such a jerk.
I like your idea of her taking over West Ham, and then those 2 becoming really tight, and she kind of becomes a member of the Keelie, Rebecca, Bex. That
oh my gosh,
happens.
Can you imagine that you talk about growth? That'd be some growth from Rebecca's side. Yeah, to end up that way, sure. So questions on so what do you think? What do you think it is going forward? Do you think the news was that she can't have children?
I think age-wise and everything, even though the doctor said he's been through it before with women her age and older, that he has helped have children, I don't think it's in the cards. I think it's something else. I think it's going to be an adoption of some manner.
Okay. Well, there you go. I'm looking forward to how that plays out because, like you said, the Rebecca stuff, there was a lot there this episode. I like the short little scene that she had with Ted in the hallway. That was fun. I like the seeing that. Oh, and I also like from Rebecca this episode the conversation that she does have with Higgins, where she was just like, I can't even contemplate that right now. She was like,
about moving on from
Ted. She was like, let me just go ahead and change the subject, please, because like that's something she did not want to face. But given that, do you think, as far as the team goes, that we are going to see them turn things around starting next episode, or are they still going to have a journey ahead of them?
I think they're going to start turning things around. They're
Yeah.
going to start leaning on Jamie. They're going to revert back to the way they played prior, and they're going to go on. They're going to go on enough of a run to cancel out the losing streak that they went on. Now, if
Yeah.
that's going to put them back up in the top 3 or 4, I don't know if we're there yet.
Right.
But I think they go to some type of tournament and they do well in this tournament. And that may be where we see, in the trailer, where we actually see Nate looking up at Ted, watching him.
Right, because that still has yet to come into play.
Yeah. So I think we're going to get that. We may get that this episode because it's kind of fitting in, the trailer, the clip, thumbnail, whatever you want to call it.
The thumbnail of the upcoming episode. Yeah.
With a little synopsis kind of messes us all up.
Spoiler alert.
I can't help but not read it.
Well, it's there. It's right in your face as you try to play the episode. It's right there.
Yeah.
What else? So I think honestly we've kind of talked a lot about Ted already. And what we've touched on was kind of all he did this episode. I don't know if there's much more there. But Keelie is probably the one that has a bulk of what's left as far as story arc here.
The goat.
Was it a goat or a sheep?
Goat, sheep, whatever it was. It was tiny and it was crapping everywhere.
Or was it a lamb? I think it was a lamb. Like Mary had a little lamb.
I'm telling you, they're all about the same in my eyes.
Whatever it was crapping all over that conference table.
Oh, it was funny because they were sitting in the room. Her and Jack were like, "What is that smell?"
Yeah, this whole thing between them, this entire episode between these two, almost played like a rom-com or something. And Jack was giving Keelie bedroom eyes like the entire episode, even like during the workday. Like she was just kind of standing in her doorway, just kind of like longingly looking at Keelie, and like through her like body language, you're like, oh, like is that? So I kind of got a twinge of like on my radar as far as like where are they moving this towards, and then progressing. I mean, as soon as you introduce alcohol, I'm like, oh, this is where this is going.
Yep. Oh, it was very clear that was what was happening. But we got rid of another character that was unneeded. Like we got rid of Zava this episode.
Yeah.
We also got rid of Shandy, I think it was.
Shandy, yeah.
Yeah, we got rid of her character as well. So it was like, okay, we're starting to shuffle off some of these characters that aren't necessary.
Some of these late entries.
Jack?
Right, that's fair. Madeline says, since we are pie in the skying, I think Sam is going to find out that he has a 4-year-old and he and Rebecca get married. I'm kidding. That would be something, yeah. I'm just curious about the whole relationship. I don't know. Do you think Sam and Rebecca will go back together by the end of this? We haven't really talked about them. We've talked about Keelie and Roy and stuff, but
I don't know. I don't know if I want it because I don't know if we have enough time to actually flesh it out properly.
And I feel like Sam's doing okay.
Yeah, he's got his own restaurant going on. But then in this season, Sam has been much more of a secondary character than he has
been in the background. Yeah, for sure.
So nothing is really focused on him yet to this point. And he is a main character in the show.
Especially last season. Like he had a lot to do all season long. I think jury's out for me too. I'm not sure. But with you just mentioned with the exit of Zava, with the exit of Shandy, we do have a lot more space to kind of explore the team that we have, and we still have the stuff with the one guy that had the boyfriend.
Oh, Colin.
And
yeah, we have
Colin.
More.
Yeah,
I think the actual synopsis of next week leads me to believe that there's going to be some type of revelation.
Yeah, and Trent, I'm sure Trent will have something to come into play there too. Madeline says, yeah, the only surprise was that Keelie made the first move. Right, yeah.
I think Keelie she's still struggling with the fact that Roy left her.
She doesn't even want to talk about Roy.
No, she doesn't. Yeah, because they were talking about exes. And she's like, I think she even said it still hurts.
That's what she said, yeah.
So, and I mean, even the clip that we played at the end of the clip, Ted's talking about, even if you hurt somebody and it stops on Roy. So you have this
Yeah.
episode where Keelie is doing her own thing. Roy is sitting there and he's contemplating what Ted may be talking to him directly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's
I
interesting.
I'm confused as to where Keelie goes from here. And I'll be honest, I don't really like this for Keelie, and not because she's with a woman or anything. That's not like the main thing. My main issue is kind of like, isn't this lady like an investor in her
Yeah.
company? Like, it just seems like this is not good.
This is
That's not a good
smart
thing.
business.
Yeah, you're mixing business and pleasure, and I think that's a recipe for disaster, honestly. And when
Well,
you're
I
a
thought from the
rising
beginning
star,
that I don't think Banter is going to survive the season,
yeah,
or it's going to be sold off, or something. It's going to be taken away from her for some reason.
right.
She's going to wind up back at Richmond.
Yeah. So I'm a little worried that this is going to have bad repercussions for her. And relationship wise, like, I don't know if this is just like a fling because she's like kind of lonely right now. And, Jack is a very attractive woman. They had some alcohol. And I don't know if this is like a one time thing or if this is something new for Keelie and she's going to explore it more. Or I don't know. But honestly, I don't want it for Keelie because like she's doing well. And I don't want the complications of like who essentially is somebody that's like her boss.
We can have another love triangle.
Yeah.
I mean, essentially, we can have that because if Roy comes back in the mix again, now we have Roy, Jack, and Keelie rather than Roy, Jamie, and Keelie.
I didn't really even like it when Rebecca was with Sam too, because of that dynamic. There's a whole power dynamic where it's just like it's a little icky as far as just like what this means, like the surrounding circumstances
Well,
and how
Sam
it
is
can affect
way
things.
too young for Rebecca.
Right. I mean, there was that, but there was also just the fact that like Rebecca is your boss's boss's boss, like that's not good. But yeah, it's just one of those things where it's tough. And Griffin even says so here. She's sleeping with the boss. Sam is sleeping with the boss. Two gay relationships that are covert. Oh, that's true. Yeah, just like with Colin, where it's like things are not out in the open. Maybe that's like you said. Maybe the Colin stuff comes out next week. Maybe Keelie and Jack stuff comes out next week too. We'll
Yeah.
see where that
Did
goes.
the team or anybody else know about Sam and Rebecca? They kept that under wraps, did they not?
They did keep that under wraps. Yeah. They were
So
very
yeah,
I think the only people that knew were Keelie and Sassy because they couldn't get it by those two.
oh yeah, no, yeah. Sassy
And Rebecca's
Sassy called
mom.
it out before. I think they were at the funeral,
Yeah.
and Sassy called him out. So the whole group of women knew.
Griffin says, oh, Maynard, it's not great. Hey, Maynard, who could, welcome back, by the way. Thank you for joining us this week. Sorry we were a day late and $1 short. Maynard says, who could fund Banter? Roy. That's a rich football player.
Oh, if he put his backing behind the name,
as a gesture.
and as an investor, and just being Roy Kent, he goes
Right.
everywhere because he's here, he's there, he's every effing where. He's Roy
every
Kent.
effing where. He's Roy Kent. That would be I think that would go a long way to saving things between them because it's a gesture not only of like a nice thing to do, but it's also like, I believe in you and I believe in this. And that was the whole thing because it's like her new position was a divide for them. So if he could heal that, that's great.
Pull up Maynard's long comment. He said about being the perils between Peter Pan and follow the North Star.
Oh, Maynard says, did you see the Peter Pan parallels? Ted said to follow the star in the north and the woman being named Darling. Ted is clearly Pan, the boy who
So the Lost
wouldn't
Boys.
grow up. Richmond are the Lost Boys. Wow, Maynard, that's good. I did not see that.
No, that's a deep cut right there. That's paying some serious attention.
I like that quite a bit. Yeah, that's great. And they're always kind of throwing literary references in here. Like we brought up,
it's literary, it's music. There's
movies,
something connected to everything.
There's the She's All That conversation. The She's All That, My Fair Lady, and Pygmalion. Yeah, that locker room talk's fun.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Griffin picked up on Pan as well.
Yeah. Let's see. It would make him boss. No way. Oh, Griffin's not exactly on board with Roy coming in because then Roy would be the boss.
But what if he was willing? Because if she had stock within the company,
yeah.
If Roy came in and purchased it, this is a long, weird. I don't know if this will even work out. and he sold controlling portion to her.
Shares.
He
Yeah.
gave her 51%, and he was 49% owner. I mean, she would still be the boss. She'll still have the final say, but it would be something that they then would now do together.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah, and he could just kind of be the behind the scenes and enjoy being a coach, which I think he's a great coach. There was a scene that he came out before they realized that Zava was gone, and he was just like, it was funny. He was giving everybody a fist bump. He went down the bench and gave everybody a fist bump, and then he got to Sam and he like shook Sam's hand because Sam's like a gentleman. He's beyond a fist bump.
He's not. Yeah, he's not fist bump worthy.
But yeah, it's like one of these things where Maynard says, "Been waiting for you guys." Geez, I know. I'm sorry, Maynard. That was my bad. Rough day yesterday. We couldn't get on in time yesterday. But yeah, it's just let's see. I don't know if there was anything specifically around Roy this episode. Roy didn't have too much growth or change this episode, but there was that very demented advice that he gave Ted about taking care of bullies.
Yeah, about the rope at 4 a.m. in the morning with a red paint on it.
Yeah.
First, I was thinking, okay, yeah, no, I'm not ready to fight at 4 a.m. I'm laying in bed and I'm getting my ass kicked, and I have no idea where it's coming from. And then he stopped.
Oh, and the red paint to like blood, and you freak him out and you laugh, and then you start beating him again.
Like slow laugh. And then you start back up. He even freaked out Beard. Beard's like, and messing with Beard's head? I mean, that's impressive.
Beard's seen some stuff. So that was like not totally out of character for Roy, because I feel like maybe that's something that would have taken place in his younger days. Who knows? But like, that was
the level of soap party. You know, you put soap in the socket and just beat the hell out of him in the middle of the night. I mean, that's more of a military thing. It's
the whole extra layer of the red paint is just to freak the person out even further.
Make you think that you're bleeding and just to completely spaz out.
That's rough. Yeah, that kind of
Trent was pretty
back.
Scared too.
Trent dropped his coffee. Yeah. I think Trent got scared that Roy was planning to do something against him. Yeah, that's funny.
Oh my gosh.
Let's see. I don't know. I think we kind of touched on everybody's story this week. There was Rebecca. There was Keelie. We'll see where it goes and what happens with the whole Keelie thing. I'm not quite sure how that's going to pan out, but I think we kind of touched on all the plot lines, all the characters this week.
Yeah, I mean that pretty much covered everything, and I mean even covered my just continuous issues with my camera. So if you guys are still watching, thank you so much for being.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
This has been on my side pardon the language, a shit show. My camera
Chris will update his firmware before next week. He promises.
I will do my best, man. This has been rough. We got a few more in here. Let me see. Yeah, let me see. So Trent being asked to chip in, to come across and actually help with them.
Oh, right. See, that was funny. Yeah, like don't be the silent guy in the corner.
Yeah, Roy scared everybody with that. Let me see what's another one here.
Becca could still get pregnant, but time is running out, like 6 more cycles or something. Oh, so Maynard's thinking that maybe the doctor had good news, like it's still like that's an available option for her. Well, I'm just curious as far as what the actual answer is. There's any number of ways given how that the conversation played out.
Yeah, and we have plenty of time.
Yeah, we do. How many episodes are this season?
I think there's 12 episodes.
12. Okay, we're 5 in. We're not even halfway there yet.
Yeah, so not even halfway through it yet. So we have enough time for them to go ahead and give us what we need. Go ahead and push Richmond, down the road. They need to go ahead and finish the story. And give us enough character growth and finish their stories. So I think that's what it is. We need the final parts of everyone's stories.
Yeah. So we will be back next week, of course, to discuss episode 6 of season 3, the final season of Ted Lasso. We'll be here, hopefully, notwithstanding, it will be our regular Wednesday time slot, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Camera issues.
Hopefully without camera issues. But yeah, we will be back. If you weren't able to join us live, be sure to still drop a comment. Chris always gets on there and addresses comments that show up on our YouTube videos. So be sure to like the page, subscribe if you haven't already, and we will talk to you again next week.
Okay. Take it easy, guys.
Believe.